talk about organic compounds, hydrocarbons, that are made with just straight chains, right? Just straight chains of carbon atoms that might have single bonds, double bonds, or triple bonds. And we know how to name these now. But not all hydrocarbons form straight chains of carbon, right? Sometimes there are branches. And today we're going to talk about branched hydrocarbons. We're going to talk about how to name them. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. Okay, here I have a hydrocarbon that has a branch, okay? But the branch might not be what you expect it to be. When we go about naming these, the first thing we have to do is we have to figure out what is the main branch. Now, the main branch is going to be the carbon atom, the branch, the chain of carbon atoms that is as long as you can possibly make it. So what we need to do is we need to count all the different ways that we can form a chain of carbon atoms and get the longest chain of carbon atoms. Okay, so most people would probably look at this one and right away count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon atoms in their main chain. But chains can bend. So this is not 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My main chain is the longest chain that you can make. This one happens to bend. So where is the branch in this one? This is not the branch. This is the branch. Right here is the branch, okay? And this is the main chain, okay? Now, to name a compound like this, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to name the main chain of carbon atoms, okay? So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbon atoms. So the organic prefix for 6 is hex. And this is an alkane. There are no double bonds, there are no triple bonds. So I'm going to end the word with ane. So that is hex. Ane. Okay. But now we need to add, we're going to put something in the front here to name the branches. Okay. To name the branch, what we're going to do is first we're going to identify which carbon atom it comes off of. So we need to number the carbon atoms in our main chain. We could number this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or we could number the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The correct way gives you the smallest numbers, okay? So if I number this way, this carbon atom the branch comes off of is 1, 2, 3, 4. If I number the other way, it's 1, 2, 3. So the correct way to number my carbon atoms here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see that my branch comes off of carbon number 3. Okay. Now, just like we named with the double bonds and the triple bonds, I'm going to use the number to indicate where that branch comes off of. And then I'm going to use an organic prefix to tell how many carbon atoms are in that branch. So how many carbon atoms are in this branch? Well, there's just one. What was the organic prefix for one carbon atom? It's Mac. And then branches end with the suffix YL. YL. So this particular compound is called 3-methyl-hexane. What happens if I have more than one branch? Okay, let's take a look at this one here. This one has more than one branch. Let's first identify what is our longest chain of carbon atoms that we can make. Okay, I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's either this way or this way. Either way will be equivalent and the same. So I'm going to choose to think about it the way that it looks. So I'm going to choose to think of my main chain as going this way, and then I have a branch here, and a branch here. Okay. So now my main branch, we just said, is this chain right here. So let's count how many carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The prefix for 5 pent. And you can see there are no doubles or triples, so this is pentane. It's an alkane, it ends with a pentane. Now we need to go about naming our branches. Okay. So like we mentioned, we're going to number our carbon atoms so that we get the smallest numbers. Okay, you see I have branches coming off of this carbon atom. I have a branch that we circled on, a branch right here, I have a branch right here, and I have a branch right here. Okay, so there's one coming off of this carbon and there's one coming off of this carbon. So I could number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I get branches on 3 and 4. Or I can number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I get branches on 2 and 3. And that way gives me the smaller numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now you will notice that all 3 of these branches have one carbon atom in them, right? So they are all met. Okay. And since they're branches, I'm going to end that with the suffix YL. They're all methyl branches. Now when there's more than one, we're going to put a prefix, not the organic prefix, the other prefix, to tell how many there are. So there are 1, 2, 3 methyl branches. So the prefix for 3 is tri. So this is trimethyl. And then of course I'm going to put the numbers to indicate which carbons they come off of. I have one coming off of carbon 2, and I have 2 coming off of carbon 3. So I'm going to list 3 twice because there are 2 branches coming out. So 2, 3, 3. So the name of this compound would be 2,3,3 trimethyl pentane. Let's take a look at this one. This one has a branch that's longer than just one carbon, right? First, let's identify what is our main chain of carbon atoms. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all the same, right? So either way we go, they're all the same. So we could think of this a couple of different ways. We could think of this as the main chain, and this is a branch. We can think of this as the chain, and this is a branch. Or we could think of this as the chain, and this is a branch. Either way, any way is valid. They're all the same, and you'll get the same name. Either way. So let's, just for the sake of our example here, consider this to be the main chain, and then our branch is here. That's our branch. Okay. So our main chain is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carbon atoms. The prefix for 5 is penta. Pent. And you can see there are no double or triple bonds. So this is an alkane. It ends with A-N-E. So that main chain is pentane. And now we need to name our branch. So which carbon atom does our branch come off of? Well, I can number it either way, and either way I'll get carbon number 3. So my branch comes off of carbon number 3. There's only one, so I don't need a prefix to say how many there are, but I need a prefix, the organic prefix, for how many carbons are in the branch. And the organic prefix for 2 is at. So, at. And the suffix for a branch is YL. So this here compound is called 3-ethyl pentane. Okay, here's an interesting one. This one has branches of different lengths. Okay, so let's take a look at this and let's try to name this. It has 2 different kinds of branches that have different numbers of carbon atoms in them. So let's find our main branch. Our main could go a lot of different ways here. It could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you go 1, 2, 3. Well, that's way too short, right? Could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So there are a couple of different ways there I can get 5 as my main chain, and we want to go with one of those ways. Any one of those ways is going to give us the same name. So let us consider this to be our main chain, and then here's a branch, and here's a branch. Okay, so my main chain of carbon atoms is 5 long, and there are no double or triple bonds. So that is pentane. And now let's name our branches, okay? Let's number our carbon atoms because we want to get the smallest number for the branch that they come off of. I could number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I could number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Going this way, I get 2 and 3. Going that way, I get 3 and 4. So this way gives me the smaller numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to name the branches in order of their lengths. We want to name the smallest branch first, and then the next bigger branch, and then the next bigger branch, and so forth. So we're going to name our shortest branch here first. This only has 1 carbon atom, and it comes off of carbon number 2. So that one is 2. The organic prefix for 1 carbon atom is meth, and then the suffix for a branch is YL. So this branch here is called 2-methyl. Now let's name this branch, the bigger branch here. Comes out of carbon number 3. It has 2 carbon atoms, and the organic prefix for 2 is F, and the suffix for a branch, YL. So this particular compound is called 2-methyl 3-ethyl pentane. We could also name these branched hydrocarbons using their skeletal structures, right? Remember, with the skeletal structures, there's a carbon atom at the end of each line. So there's a carbon atom here, and here, and here, and here, 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 and here, right? So let's try to name this particular one here. Let's identify our main chain. This one's kind of easy to see. Although there's 2 alternatives, we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or we could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a couple of different ways. I would avoid calling this part of your main chain because then you have a branch that has a branch, and let's not go there right now. So let's call this one that goes straight across our main chain. And then we have a branch here and here. Like we just saw, our main branch will have 7 carbon atoms in it. And the organic prefix for 7 is hept. There are no double or triple bonds. So let's call this heptane is our main chain. Now let's name our branches. Remember, we're going to start with the shorter branch. So this branch has 2 carbon atoms. It's got one here and one here. And this one has just the 1 carbon atom right here. So we'll name this one first. Well, which carbon number does that come off of? Let's see. Obviously, naming it from this side is going to give me the smaller number. So here's carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this branch comes off of carbon number 2. So I'm going to name this with a 2. And having only 1 carbon atom in that branch, it'll have the prefix meth. And the suffix for a branch, YL. So it's 2-methyl. Let's see, let's name this other branch here. I'm going to move my word heptane over a little bit so that I got room for it. Let's name the other branch, and then I'll put heptane back there. You can see I have 2 carbon atoms in that branch, and it comes off of carbon number 3. So this will be 3, and the organic prefix for 2 is F. The suffix will be YL. And let me put my word heptane back there. So that one is called 2-methyl 3-ethyl heptane. And you can see we can name them from a skeletal structure just the same as we can from a Lewis structure. Okay, let's try this alkene here. Notice it's got a double bond in it, and it's also got a branch. So let's take a look and try to name this one. Pretty clearly on this one, this right here is going to be our branch, right? So let's take a look at how many carbons do we have in our main chain. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this would be hex. And then being an alkene, it has a double bond, we would end up with E-N-E. And remember, with an alkene, we need to include a number for which bond is the double bond, right? So I could number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I could number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Either way, we get a 3 here. But let's think ahead to our branch, because our branch is going to be numbered smallest going this way. So I'm going to number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll number my carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So numbering this way is going to give me the smaller number there. So my bond is on bond number 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 hexene. And then my branch comes off of carbon number 3. So I will call that 3. There's 1 carbon in my branch, and the prefix for 1 is met. And the suffix for a branch is YL. So this would be called 3-methyl 3-hexene. Alright, so there are some branched hydrocarbons, some that are a little bit more complex than what we looked at last time. In the next one after this, what if we have some branches that aren't just hydrogen and carbon? We're going to take a look at that in the next one after this. So until then.